to episode 64 of One Man's Opinion. Today I am reviewing Irish Repertory Theatre's production of Samuel Beckett's Endgame, directed by Ciaran O'Reilly, which has been extended through April 9th at the Francis J. Greenberger main stage at Irish Repertory Theatre at 132 West 22nd Street in New York City. Ooh boy, Endgame. Beckett's absurdist existential classic is set in a basement or cellar, or maybe a bunker, if you will. In this underground room is the blind and wheelchair-bound Hamm, played by John Douglas Thompson. He is cared for by Clov, played by Bill Irwin, who is the antithesis of Hamm. He can walk, he can see, and unlike Hamm, who is always seated, Clov cannot sit. The reasons why both men are who they are is generally vague. Two more characters appear coming out of two garbage cans on stage. These are Hamm's legless parents, Nagg, played by Joe Grifasi, and Nell, played by Patrice Chevannes. So, what is Endgame about? Well, I have my opinion what Endgame is about, but this is a play that defies traditional interpretation of plot and theme. The best thing I can do to support my point of view is to give a little history first, a little context with Beckett's life. Beckett was an ambulance driver for the Irish Red Cross during World War II and worked in a hospital near Omaha Beach in Normandy. Then, in 1955, his mother and brother died, his mom from Parkinson's disease and his brother from lung cancer. Endgame premiered 2 years after his mother and brother's deaths. And I imagine that the combination of the hell that he witnessed in World War II and the grief coming from the deaths of two family members so close together reflects his mindset during his writing of this challenging piece. The thing about Endgame is that though the play addresses a bleak world, the absurdist situation of the four people living how they are and their attitudes towards each other brings a dark humor that floats around their projected fate. Their fate is implied, as the reality outside of the room where these four characters live is unknown. When Clov describes what is outside, whether it be land or sea, it is all gray. Nothing is explained as to what is going on in the outside world, but whatever it is, Hamm, Clov, Nagg, and Nell aren't going out there. There are discussions about death and its impending arrival, but nothing is concrete. There's nothing to indicate as to how each person would die, but there is an attitude of death being an inevitability, so why bother living? Especially when each character has their own impediments, whether it be immobility, blindness, age, or in the case of Clov, a blind devotion as servants to an abusive master in Hamm. It's not lost in the allegorical connection of a scene where Clov brings Hamm a stuffed toy dog which can't sit, not unlike Clov, who is also a dog, to Hamm, who cannot sit. Scenes like this are just elements of the whole for a play that doesn't go anywhere exactly, but discusses the inevitable, death. No one has any solutions or comforts to offer each other. It feels like Beckett can't either, choosing to mock death by making the characters so bizarre that it elevates the comic nature that rests in such a tragic environment. As to what people will take away from Endgame, I have no idea. It's so outrageous in its concept and language that people coming to this play for the first time will, 1, have to wrap their brains around the language and understand what anything means, and 2, interpret it all to have some meaning for themselves. I think that's why Endgame has such a lasting effect on audiences, as they will interpret it for themselves as to what its meaning is, assuming they understand it in the first place. As for the cast, they're all excellent, especially Bill Irwin and John Douglas Thompson, who lead the piece. Irwin's physicality with Clov is meticulously textured, as his legs are exhausted from being unable to sit. The sequences going up and down a ladder to look outside the two windows in the room is comic gold in the spirit of Ray Bolger or Donald O'Connor. John Douglas Thompson, on the other hand, is a masterclass in minimalism, whose movements are as meticulously reserved as possible. I admire O'Reilly's courage in giving the actors a lot of liberty with their more over-the-top elements, especially with Irwin, Grifasi, and Chevannes. It elevates the comedy elements. Charlie Corcoran's Scenic design is appropriately bleak. The basement is disgusting and filled with an indeterminate age of how long the four of them have been occupying the place. Endgame is probably the most brilliant play that I've ever seen that I can't recommend for everyone. Its language is absurd. It doesn't inherently make sense upon first listening for most people and requires more concentration than most plays just to understand where things are going, if going anywhere at all. But if you can look within Ciaran O'Reilly's deftly directed characters, it can be a challenging and comic look at the immediate existential threats of death and the immediate existential ludicrousness of worrying about it every moment of your life. But I am only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you want to see Endgame, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get information on tickets. You can support my channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing, and click the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be Bedlam's production of Fall River Fishing. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.